Welcome to Big Little Stories. I'm Ivy Sharmetz. We have so many great entertainment venues here in New Jersey, so many wonderful opportunities to experience the arts and all of the benefits that come with that. And one of the organizations that is truly on a mission to make the arts accessible to all who are interested, and they're doing a really great job of that too, is the Count Basie Center for the Arts in Red Bank. Adam Philipson is the president and CEO, and he's joining me now. Thank you so much for being here, Adam.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Ivy.
Of course. So you came to this industry as a performer. Tell me a little bit about that. I want to hear some of how you got into this field.
Yeah, definitely. I have a background of mostly in theater, some TV film as well. But yeah, I have a long background of shows in New York. I mean, I grew up in the city, so it was accessible for us. I did my first off Broadway show when I was 13, and then progressed in the theatrical space. But always had, in the beginning, just being on the stage was my thing. I mean, I think what's great now is that I've learned how much I enjoy being, behind the stage and creating the magic. But always knowing what it takes, to really to create that experience on the stage and to be able to be connected and have that experience with an audience. So I'm so grateful for my background and how it brought me to where I am today.
When did you know that was something that, number one, you had the talent to do, and that it just spoke to you in that way? Was there a moment that you remember where you thought, I got to be on stage?
I can tell you the moment that I'll try to remember that, but I also remember the moment that I realized, wow, I can't do this anymore. But to start the first question, my first time, I went to a performing arts camp in upstate New York called Frenchwoods Festival of the Performing Arts. There were two really, Stage Door Manor and Frenchwoods. We were like the rivals. It was kind of the USC, UCLA, and we were all of us performers, and a lot of great artists came out of that camp. But I think I was 5. I went very young to this camp. We knew people, and that were involved in sort of creating the camp. So we were there very young, and I was auditioned for Peter and the Wolf. And I think what ended up happening was that they asked if I could lick my chops and kind of stroll around, and I did. And I that's when I got the bug. So I got cast. My brother actually got cast in the part of Peter. So it was a family thing. And but I think that what happened for me was that, in that camp, in that environment, and then as I kept going to the camp later on in my life and would go not just for a week or two, but for 9 weeks, you really understood the community that was created. And that's when I just got bit by how incredible this field is. And but there was that moment, Ivy, where I was watching myself in a film that I was in, and I recognized how hard this business is, and how hard it is to have a real, honest, genuine moment. It took so much work, and not that I was afraid of the hard work, but I think I recognized then that it's a tough career. It's tough.
But you must have gained so much from that experience. There's all this research and talk about when you engage in the arts, when you experience the arts, when you have exposure to the arts, there's benefits to your life, especially as a kid. What did you get from that experience?
I think what I got the most, and what I see in the kids that we work with that have the opportunity to be part of shows, here at the Basie in our education program, is that a level like in sports, right? To always be ready, to always be prepared, all the work that's required. That you can be sitting talking to friends and the director says, "Hey, here we go," and just to be able to pull yourself into focus at that exact moment. That's such a lifelong skill that I find I use in everything that I do, and I watch the kids that we work with that have this opportunity as well. I watch them, be able to pull themselves to attention in a moment. And where do you learn that? I think maybe in sports where you're on the team and all of a sudden something happens and and coach calls attention, or something happens in a moment.
Right.
But I feel like that being prepared is one of the skills that I take with me everywhere.
But it's interesting that you talk about sports because I feel like we put so much, or society puts so much emphasis on the athletes and focusing attention on athletes. But there are many, I wasn't an athlete when I was in school. I wasn't a theater kid either, but that's a story for another day. There are so many benefits and so much talent aside from sports, and the fact that you're able to put the spotlight on that and give kids a place where they feel like they belong and they are stars, even though they're not athletes. I mean, athletes, that has to feel great to be able to do that.
No, absolutely. I think, we usually use that metaphor of what it's like to be on a team and a sports team. And that's what happens. You find, um, I don't know the great sports analogy, but I can tell you that the team that happens that we create, and it's with everyone. It's with the person who's playing the lead, right? But it's also with the kid that's in the ensemble and the choir, or the chorus, and that's
Yeah.
really showing up as equally every day, and that support for each other. How much you rely on everybody. It's great that you may be the lead, but without the chorus, you're that scene does not come off the way it needed to, and you play off of each other and you support each other, and you see it, and it's so critical, because clearly we all, including me, don't have the athletic ability,
Right.
but there's so many other areas where you gain so much value from that collegiality, and I know that's what we create here, and that's what happens in the arts.
So how did you end up at the Basie?
So, I was a New York actor, and then moved out to LA. I had an agency that merged with an LA agent, so we moved out. And then, my family were always back here. I was always sort of had an eye on, wouldn't it be great to get back east at some point? And then I got tapped to someone who was doing a recruit search for the Count Basie, at that time called the Count Basie Theater, before we raised it up to the Count Basie Center for the Arts, and that's when I first had the chance to come here and come back, and realize it was time for me to move back. And I had already been now out of the art, the theater side of the acting side, and more in the realm of creating and producing and opening theaters. So I had this chance to come here and take what was a beautiful, beautiful theater and really turn it into this entire regional center for the arts. And that was our growth.
Were you surprised by how much culture and arts and entertainment and just how much access there is in New Jersey to that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not that I didn't know that it existed. And growing up in New York, obviously, we were
Sure.
we were close to Jersey. So, and a lot of my friends in Jersey, and a lot of my friends that went to that camp that I mentioned,
Yeah.
David Stone, who produced Wicked, we were friends in camp, and he was from Marlboro. So, I always knew that there was a lot of creativity. I think when I got here, just recognizing how many theaters
Mm.
like the Basie are in the state, and how much, there's an economy for the arts, not just for presenting that we do on the big stage, but just for the development and the growth, and how much talent. I mean, I think that was what blew my mind when I started recognizing that, like, the Basie has the Basie Awards, which is
Right.
now going to be in its 20th year,
Wow.
and how much talent was coming out of these schools, and really just moving their way up, and probably because of the proximity to New York. Like, the dream of making it to New York
Right.
is a lot closer than maybe if you're farther in the country.
So you mentioned the Basie Awards, and I think we should talk about that for a second because they are really like it's like a Tony Awards program that happens at the Basie Center once a year. And talk to me about how special and how amazing
Oh,
that
I mean,
programming is. And I mean, it's always a favorite every year.
that's an incredible night. You're right. It's sort of Monmouth County, our
Yeah.
version of the Tony Awards. So it's all of the high schools, and their productions, so their drama. But it's more than that, and it's really become more than that, which is great. What was amazing when it started was that, there wasn't a theatrical community in Monmouth County. So obviously the normal competition, but not like going to see someone else in their
Mm.
production. And that's the community that's been created. So, that's something that I think is almost as remarkable as the talent that it generates. And now it's gone one step further where it's not just who's on the stage, but it's the stage managers and
Mhm.
it's the kids that are involved in the creation and the costumes. And that's really what I think is so remarkable. There's talent everywhere on the stage, behind the stage, and we have an opportunity to showcase that.
You mentioned also the difference between, or when you first came to the Basie, it was the Count Basie Theater. Now it's the Count Basie Center for the Arts. What is the difference between a theater and having a center for the arts?
You know, when I got here, the theater felt like it was like a spot where artists pass through. They're going kind of from one theater to the next.
Yeah.
It's a tour, you know, and I what I really wanted to help embrace and what the vision of our nonprofit board was, they had asked when I came on board, how do we take what we have and then turn it into this real hub and this real emotional center, so to speak, for the community. And that's what we've done. And so it's not just what's on the stage, but it's what happens in every classroom. It's what happens in every room, really, in our hallways, in our lobbies. That's where it becomes this center. And it's not just what's happening at the theater, but it's what we're able to do with the schools and in the community. And that's when you really, I think, become a center for the arts.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about all of the work that the Count Basie Center for the Arts does for the community. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll jump right back in. All right, so we're talking with Adam Philipson, who is the president and CEO of the Count Basie Center for the Arts in Red Bank. Adam, you were talking a little bit about how important it is and how much work the Basie Center does for the community, but talk about what it really means to be such a foundational piece of the community. And for me, when I'm saying community, we're obviously talking about Red Bank, but beyond that as well, and throughout the county and the region, really.
I mean, there's so many levels to that question. I mean, just from the economic standpoint, now with the expansion that we've done and the two theaters that we have, because we have the historic theater, which is 1,568 seats, and then we have the Vogel, which is our new community space, which has become a very hot jazz club and a place for new artists, but also a place for our students to perform and our community to be able to perform. So, I think on from the economic level, there's probably somewhere around a 30 to 35 million dollar economic
Wow.
impact annually to the area,
Wow.
and that's just from our staff and the hotels and the restaurants and who we employ and the artists that we employ. So, I mean, from the economic standpoint, that in itself is amazing.
Mm.
But I think just from the other standpoint, where there's so much great importance for what we do for the region, is really for just finding artists and creating that outlet, creating that place and the healing, really, because I think what we've learned more than ever is how needed the arts are for our social and emotional well-being. And that was something that I think we learned. We've always known, but I think the world saw even more post COVID, where every commercial you saw happened to be people performing and people, doing their first dance number or singing outside of a balcony. I think it was really showed us all, and we've kept that post COVID, is how important the arts are for our health and well being.
What do you think about the idea that unfortunately arts are one of the first things that get cut sometimes from schools and from other programs where people would normally benefit from the arts? I feel like the Basie Center does such a good job of trying to supplement some of that so that people have a place to go, kids have a place to go, so that they can experience this. Why is that so? I know it's important to you. Why is that so important to you?
I think the word that you use, supplement, is critical, because this is not about taking the place for with what should be the responsibility and obligation of the schools, right? I mean, that should be a part of your day because we all know what happens. The problem solving, the creative solving, the thinking outside of the box. These are all skills that happen from the arts that we have the opportunity to teach, and that's something that needs to be in schools because solving the complex problems that we're all living in only happen from being able to think creatively. So of course, that we can do that we can fill a void is critical because we know these are the skills that our students need to have. Learning tolerance, learning how to appreciate, celebrate each other, respect each other. These are all things that come out of the arts. So should be living in the school every day, but that we can do that and fill a void for what is clearly, as you mentioned, the first thing to be cut is really more than anything, it's our obligation.
And I know the community theater that, with it means so much to the adults also. So it's important for the kids, but also for adults that love to experience all that being part of a community theater experience offers them as well. Talk about, Phoenix and why that's such a sort of
Yeah.
a warm piece of what the Basie does, I feel like.
So Phoenix Productions had been a part of the Basie for 35 years. This is where the performances would happen on the main stage, and we decided that the best thing that we could do. Really to be able to make sure that we're reaching the community and not just the Red Bank community, but a wide surrounding community, was to join forces with Phoenix and be able to make sure that we are collectively working to reach more of our community. And so, yeah, I mean, the families that become involved in doing community theater. So basically, Phoenix is now the producing arm of the Count Basie Center for the Arts, where we're typically a presenting organization. So we take shows that are already produced and then we'll present it on our stage. But Phoenix was an opportunity for us to be involved in actually producing the work and casting and hiring and holding ourselves to our value statement and to the inclusion that we are really on our journey to make sure that all of the things that we do here in our center are inclusive and engaging all of the community members. And people come from near and far to be able to participate at this level of a production. And it's critical for someone who's, a banker or doing or running their business, but to be able to still participate, that's also a life affirming and life changing opportunity for them.
So you mentioned inclusivity, and I think that you guys do that so well in two areas. Number one, I want you to talk about what you do to make the arts accessible to anyone who wants to be involved, and also the way you celebrate diversity and storytelling from all different narratives and perspectives, which adds so much value just to the culture of the region, I think. But start by talking about how and why it's so important that the arts are accessible to everyone who wants to participate.
So I think the why. I mean, first of all, aside from all of the core intrinsic value of participating in the arts that we've talked about, for this last couple of minutes, it's not always available and accessible, and especially as we're just talking about the fact that it's being cut from the school. So, when we've missed a generation or two, we have to be very intentional about reaching into the community and making sure that what we're presenting and that what we're offering from an education standpoint is serving the needs of our community, and making sure that you don't think of the Basie as a great place, but not for me, but instead you think of the Basie as a beautiful place where I'm welcome, where I can go and study, where my kids can go study, where I can see performances on the stage that are amplifying who we are as a community. So I mean that's the value, and why we've been so intentional about making sure that our reach out and our programs and the programs that we offer and the festivals that we celebrate are about celebrating each other and learning how to really be a community that values how different we all are and how the same we all are. So some of our festivals, like the New Jersey Hispanic Film Festival, or our Calpuli dance program, a Mexican ballet folklorico dance program, or our gospel choir, and just in general our classical music training, and the way in which we've been able to make sure that our programs are available for all of our community members. It's just been one of the most fulfilling and proud journeys that I've had a chance to be on in the 12 years that I've been here at the Basie.
Well, and it also is what makes the Basie such a crucial and important and meaningful part of the community. If someone's never been to the Basie, what's your pitch for them? Why should they come see a show there?
Oh gosh! I mean, first of all, I think because you'll see anything that you might be interested in seeing, whether it's something that your grandparent would want, or something that your kids are going to have. In any one weekend, you'll see such a spectrum. But I think what happens when you get here too, it's our team. I mean, from the second that you're approached by an email or somehow to buy a ticket, or a sign that you see, on a store, we guarantee your experience will just be seamless, from your arrival and how you're greeted when you're here. And I think the feeling of being here is what makes us so special, and then why you come back.
It's all part of the experience. Do you think you'll ever go back on stage? Do you think you'll ever get the itch to go back on stage?
I don't know. I think about it. I've thought, every time Phoenix is auditioning for something, and the team will be like, "You should audition." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not going to do it yet." But you never know. I never say never. And I still work. I still work at home on my, just being ready. I still practice Jesus Christ Superstar all the time in case I'm tapped.
You never know. If people want more information, what's the website?
Thebasie.org. And there's just all kinds of information about everything. Our scholarships that we offer, our programs that we offer, our classes that we offer, how to get involved, how to support, how to learn more. Everything's in Spanish. And we give a tremendous amount of scholarships out. I mean, we have our nonprofit has done fundraising to be able to make sure that we have money to be able to offer scholarships. So there's really lots of opportunity. There should be no barrier to being able to experience the arts here at the Basie.
You're doing such great work. We like to end every show with 3 big little questions. Are you ready for them?
Okay.
All right. The first one, Adam. How do you get yourself out of a bad mood?
Oh God. I think I will. Here's what I do.
Okay.
I will drink a cup of coffee.
Okay.
You thought I was going to go somewhere else, but no. I drink a cup of coffee, and then I take a power nap. 5 minutes, cup of coffee, 5-minute power nap, and I'm like ready to go.
5 minutes?
5 minutes is all I need.
Okay. I would probably wake up grumpy from a 5-minute nap, but I'm glad that works for you. All right, what is your
before a cup of coffee? Have your cup of coffee, then a 5-minute. You wake up like energized. You wouldn't believe it.
Okay, all right, I'll take your word for it. What is your go-to karaoke song?
New York State of Mind, Billy Joel.
When's the last time you performed that song?
Is that one of the 3 questions?
No, that's a follow-up question. It's called a follow-up. Yes.
The last time I did New York State of Mind was my kids were making sure that we were doing karaoke in the house.
Perfect.
That was my go-to.
All right. Other than the Basie, what is one of your favorite spots in New Jersey?
Oh, the parks in especially our parks in Monmouth County. I mean, just right now, just every season, it's really my go-to spot. And I mean, the beaches are beautiful, but our parks are even more beautiful.
Yep. I will tell you that when people ask me what one of my favorite places in New Jersey is, I always say the Basie. So just so you know.
Oh,
of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
Adam, thank you so much for spending some time chatting with me. You're doing such great work. Your team is amazing. And I just appreciate you being here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ivy. Appreciate being here.
Of course. That's it for today's Big Little Stories. I'll talk to you next time.